being left. Boris blames EU for too many Afghan refugees coming to UK and we don't have a home. Councils across the country are warning Afghan refugees entering the UK may be left in transition for a long time, as they warn there is not enough housing for them unless the Home Office increases local funding to provide shelter. The government has outlined plans to allow thousands of refugees from Afghanistan to resettle in the UK, following the Taliban's takeover of the country. According to the Home Office, around 5,000 former Afghan staff and family members are likely to be eligible for resettlement by the end of this year under a scheme for those previously employed by British forces. On top of that, the government has committed to relocate a further 5,000 Afghan civilians in the next 12 months through the new Afghan Citizens Resettlement Scheme. Up to 15,000 more Afghans could be allowed to settle in the UK in the years ahead. The new scheme will be modelled on the system introduced for Syrian refugees in 2015. Home Secretary Priti Patel announced the UK will resettle 20,000 Afghan refugees over the course of the next few years, with over 5,000 set to be resettled in the first year alone. But councils across the UK who have already begun taking on refugees warn they do not have enough resources to address the problem despite donations and a cash injection from the Home Office. One councillor in Milton Keynes told Channel 4 News there simply was not enough housing stock, as she feared many refugees would be left in transition in hotels and other temporary accommodation for a long time. Councils across the country have already begun taking in refugees, but some have refused as they state they do not have the resources to house them. Larger authorities like Manchester will see more refugees sent to be resettled, but Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham has called for a fairer system that sees all authorities take on some refugees. Manchester Evening News reports over 1,000 refugees will be resettled in the Greater Manchester area. Speaking that, Milton Keynes Liberal Democrat councillor Jane Carr blasted the Home Office and demanded more was given to councils to help with the resettling. She said, "For those that are coming in at the moment, they're all in transition, so it's finding them homes. And that could be anywhere in the country, not necessarily here in Milton Keynes. But if we are going to be rehousing families here, we need the Home Office to be able to find the funding in order to obtain those rooms. Because we don't have housing stock sitting here doing nothing." Labour MP Clive Betts has also called for the government to increase their funding after his local Yorkshire authority promised to take on a good number of refugees. The government is currently pledging £5 million to resettle 20,000 Afghan refugees, which only equates to a few £100 per person. Under the Syrian Refugee Resettlement Scheme, which saw more than 10,000 rehoused, councils were provided with £129 million. Mr. Betts told Yorkshire Live, "Northern councils have had the worst of the cuts over the last 10 years and are really struggling financially, so that's why it's really important that the government steps up and makes a commitment to cover the costs." Prime Minister Boris Johnson launched Operation Warm Welcome, which will be led by Priti Patel to ensure incoming Afghan refugees are given the right humanitarian care upon their arrival to the UK. The PM said, "Though we would not have wished to leave in this way, we have to recognise that we came in with the US in defence and support of the US. And though we now leave with the US, we will remain represented in the region. We're doubling our humanitarian assistance, development assistance this year to £286 million. I am determined we welcome them with open arms and put in place the support they need to rebuild their lives. For those who have left their homes with no more than a small bag of belongings, coming to the UK will have been a daunting experience, but also one of hope. There will be a new department set up to coordinate housing, health and education needs and to deal with the trauma escapees might have suffered.